Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Freezing Vibrations Episode 8 review. Now, this episode, first of all, simple, but it does have like a religious hook to it, which is the Tower of Battle. And basically, when it came to Roxanne, when it came to a flashback of I think his name is Owl. Like, I know that he's Kazuya's grandfather. His first name escapes me. Gengo, like something like that. Like like Gengo Owl, something like that. And Professor O'Hara, who is like the head professor at the laboratory in Alaska. And I think that's only with those two where in which we actually have this religious hook to the episode, where in which the Nova may be perceived as some kind of divine punishment from God. Now, we do know that they come from another dimension. That's for sure. We know that. And we do know that Maria Lancelot was the first Pandora. She was the one who had actually engaged in combat against the first Nova. And the stigma that are on the Pandora's backs, I believe, come from her crystallized body. Something like that. So, the thing here is that Professor O'Hara was able to actually, Dr. O'Hara was actually able, at the time, Miss O'Hara, there we go, was actually able to decipher the genome, either the genetic code or the genome sequence of Maria Lancelot. And because of that, she's actually able to harness her power. And when it came to the test tube, we can actually make the assumption now that the test tubes underneath the laboratory are actually clones of Maria, because we know that that's her goal. That's her goal. Her goal is to harness the power of Maria Lancelot, the first Pandora. And she was able to decipher the genetic sequence, or the genetic code, whatever you want to call it, of Maria Lancelot. Therefore, we can make the assumption, because I noticed how the people in the test tubes actually look like Maria Lancelot. They do. So, the thing here is that we can assume that they're clones, or they're like replicas, or maybe they're women that no one ever heard about, that they were infused with like a massive amount of stigma, or they're something along those lines. Exactly. But we can assume that they have ties to the first Pandora, so they can harness her power. Now, the thing here is that, according to Kazuya's grandfather, alright, a Gengo Owl. Let's call him Gengo, because I think it is G-N-G-O, Gengo. So, the thing here is that he's saying how it's blasphemy. And the thing about this is that Roxanne says it pretty good, because we don't really have a full understanding of the Nova, why they're here, because they can't communicate with the Nova. So, but apparently, Gengo actually knows quite a bit, because he says, if you're gonna try and tap into the power of Maria, or he's hinting that if you do that, it's blasphemy, because you're going against God, implying that the Nova are of some kind of godly status, some kind of omnipotence, which is no, because if you can beat the Nova, they're not gods. They're not goddesses, whatever you want to call them. But they're probably beings on a higher plane of existence, because they come from another dimension. I mean, you can actually say that with some accuracy. You really could. And the thing here is that the fact of the matter is that these individuals, these Pandoras and Limiters, gain power because of the effects of the Nova. Hence the stigma. So, in order to combat them, obviously. So, they're in a way, Pandoras, E-Pandoras, Limiters, they're trying to combat angels by having a piece of their power. It's a very strange concept going on here. When you have that religious hook to it, it really becomes strange. But the thing here is that at the end of the day, what he's saying is that you should not tap into the power directly, because Maria, she, again, first Pandora, at the time, actually probably, yeah, because probably the most strongest Pandora in history. I mean, we do know that right now, the strongest Pandora, we saw it at the beginning of the episode, when Gengo got a call from Howard, the head of the El Bridger family. So of course, that means that Lewis did do his part at least, if he's calling Gengo. The thing here is that we see the first we see the current strongest Pandora that Chevalier have. Yisano, I think her name is, or Yisona, something like that. Her. And Maria was probably stronger because, again, she was the one who was engaged in like the first Nova clashes, and she beat the Nova, and you know, her. So the thing here is that he doesn't want anyone trespassing on the territory of gods or angels or beings in higher dimensions. I mean, it'd actually be a nice way to try and communicate with the Nova, but because then you have to wonder, if people can transform into Nova, does that mean that we're Nova wants people? Like, it's this whole, and the whole other dimension thing. There's a lot of things that have to be revealed about the Nova. Even the manga, the Nova aren't fully explained. Like, there's still this giant veil around them, and Gengo kind of knows a bit, but he doesn't know like the full scope, because again, he's not in the other dimension talking with the Nova. Can't communicate with these people, or with these entities. They come in there, oh, and like they just kill motherfuckers. So the thing here is that, and then mind you, there's actually a thing here going on with the laboratory in Alaska, where apparently they have this massive generator. It's called the photon generator. And apparently, if it explodes, it's like 100 million times more powerful than a nuclear bomb. And it would wasteland a lot of the planet. Not exactly the best place to have. First of all, why have it, period? That's number one. Why have it, period? And again, it's probably because they need to sustain these Maria clones, or these Maria duplicates, or these people who have Maria's genetic makeup in them, some of that. So, there's a lot of questions going on here. At the same time, with all these questions going on about the origin of the Nova, why can't we communicate them, their possible divine punishment, the whole religious twist to it, and the Tower of Babel, and how God punished those who tried to reach Him. I read the Bible, so it's like, But the thing here is that in come the E-Pandoras, and we have Amelia. She's like, you know what, enough of this shit. Because Rattle, she was chosen for the upgraded version of the Mach 4. Because the guys in the suits, they're like, yeah, like, we made this new version for you, use this one. And obviously you can't trust their shit. You can't trust their shit. But whatever, fuck it. And so they said, you know what, fuck it, coup. We're gonna have a coup, and they have a coup. And they're gonna die together. Because they have now injected themselves with the Mark 4. And they're on this mission of some kind. I mean, I think I believe that they're gonna meet up at some point. Or at least that's the plan. But of course, they're getting caught by the actual Pandora. And even though Rattle and the others are able to fend off most of the Pandora, in comes Julia, Miss Germany over here, Miss Deutsch, and she's making like air cannons. Just like, yeah, and she's just pegging air cannons now. And so obviously, the thing about it is that she's top 5. And the difference between someone like Elizabeth Mabley and someone like her is astronomical. Again, top 5. And of course, the strongest one, of course, being the monster. Alright? The freak. The demon herself. Alright? I don't even see her name, because y'all know who she is. But fuck it, Chiffon. Y'all know Chiffon. So the thing here is that, Chiffon, she's actually there somewhere, but whatever. Julia, air cannon, and then out of nowhere, Stella. They're like, when the hell are you sneaking? Because apparently, she was able to sneak in. She was able to get inside the laboratory. And this is where it becomes weird. Because she was already there from Jump Street in the manga. So there wasn't no, like, I'm going to sneak in. Like, it was basically her talking to Kazuya and saying, like, we need to go. Like, yeah, like, I have a bad feeling. But in the anime, she just somehow snuck in. And she's all cured. Kazuya's in combat gear already. And it's like, wait, when? Like, when the hell did this happen? And, of course, that's an issue because of the fact that we were like melding arcs here. So it was just very, 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 very random. Like they were just thrown in there. Like she's about to kill Amelia, and then freezing and Kazuya and Stella are right there. And it's like, how'd you know that shit was going down? When the hell did you sneak in? When the hell did you get into combat gear? How come no one knows you're here? All this stuff are issues. So, but aside from that, the episode, I did think that it was pretty good, to be honest, because the whole religious twist I thought was fascinating. I thought it was very fascinating. And it does actually dive deeper, or it attempts to dive deeper at the origins and the intentions of the Nova. So, I'll leave it at that. Because it was good. The animation was okay. The pacing was okay. And the story progression was overall good. But for me personally, I did find that whole religious twist fascinating. And I'll give it a good rating. Because they did highlight that whole concept the most in the episode, aside from the E-Pandora and aside from the last part where in which it was Stella and Kazuya that just come in there miraculously, yeah, we're here, freezing, go. And so I'll leave it at that. King of Lightning, good rating for this week's episode of Freezing Vibrations, and I will see you guys later. Peace. Have a nice day.